The unthinkable has happened in the northern region of our country, completely shattering the illusion of safety for millions of residents and proving that these criminal elements are becoming bolder by the day. When heavily armed invaders possess the sheer audacity to bypass military checkpoints and violently invade the very hometown of a sitting state executive, it sends a chilling message to the ordinary citizen that absolutely nowhere is safe. We are looking at a rapidly unfolding humanitarian and security disaster in Adamawa State, specifically within the Madagali local government area. The community of Shuwari-Kirchinga, famously known as the political fortress and the ancestral home of Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, has been suddenly transformed from a vibrant agricultural hub into a terrifying abandoned ghost town. Because this community sits dangerously close to the infamous Sambisa forest, which directly borders Borno State, it has always been a highly sensitive flashpoint for national security. However, the terrifying events that transpired on what the local residents are now mournfully calling Black Tuesday have elevated the crisis to a new and highly dangerous level. Under the thick cover of darkness, a heavily armed syndicate stormed the town, leaving a trail of absolute devastation in their wake. The human cost of this sudden invasion is deeply heartbreaking, with 22 precious lives tragically snatched away in the blink of an eye. But the attackers did not just stop at the terrible loss of human life. They executed a massive economic sabotage that has sparked wild, terrifying rumors across the internet. Because the attackers utilized the ruthless, mass-rustling tactics famously associated with notorious warlords, widespread panic has ignited that figures like Bello Turji have either expanded their deadly franchise or heavily inspired a new, highly dangerous generation of forest-dwelling insurgents in the northeast. The economic backbone of this rural community has been completely broken, and the survivors are now experiencing a level of trauma that is incredibly difficult to put into words. We are receiving highly distressing accounts from the ground that paint a vivid picture of total displacement and sheer desperation. Desperate families are abandoning their generational homes, packing whatever clothing they can carry, and embarking on dangerous journeys to find refuge. A local family man, Livinus Moses, tearfully recounted how he was forced to uproot his entire life and hastily relocate his wife and children to the distant state capital of Yola. He lost his entire agricultural investment overnight as the invaders aggressively rustled every single cow and goat he owned, stripping him of his dignity and his ability to feed his household. This economic wipeout is absolutely not an isolated incident. Another displaced resident, Awal Yakubu, revealed the staggering scale of the theft, noting that over 100 herds of sheep and cattle were violently swept into the forest during that single dark night. The psychological grip of fear is so overwhelming that the town is bleeding its population by the hour. Thousands of citizens are scattering in every direction, seeking shelter in neighboring, more populated areas like Michika, Gombe, Shua, and Mubi just to stay alive. As we dig deeper into the glaring intelligence failures that allowed this massive tragedy to happen right under the nose of the authorities, I want to take a brief moment to ask for your partnership. If you highly value a news platform that refuses to water down the truth and stands firmly with the everyday citizens who are suffering in silence, please take just 1 second to hit that like button right now. Liking this video is the absolute most powerful way to signal to the algorithm that this critical national emergency deserves to be seen by millions of other concerned Nigerians. Furthermore, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell immediately. By subscribing, you are joining a community dedicated to demanding total accountability from our leaders, and you guarantee that you will never miss our comprehensive follow-up investigations into how the government plans to recover these stolen territories. We cannot keep exposing these harsh realities without your active support, so please ensure you join the family today before we analyze the massive military failure. Now, returning to the most frustrating aspect of this entire catastrophe, we must heavily scrutinize the deeply questionable response of the security agencies tasked with protecting these vulnerable borders. The anger radiating from the displaced villagers is palpable, and it is largely directed at the military command operating in that specific sector. According to a highly vocal survivor named Enjandri Papka, the community did not just sit back and wait blindly for the attack to happen. He explicitly stated that advance warnings and highly credible intelligence regarding the impending invasion were successfully communicated to the military long before the first gunshot was ever fired. Yet, in what he painfully described as a highly disappointing, kid-glove approach to national security, the armed forces only made their presence known after the terrible destruction was fully concluded and the perpetrators had comfortably retreated into the Sambisa wilderness with all their stolen livestock. This highly delayed reaction has completely eroded the little trust the villagers had left in the system, prompting Papka to permanently move his entire family to Mubi because he no longer believes the state has the capacity or the willingness to protect him. The leadership vacuum at the local level is only making the situation much worse for the fleeing victims. The former chairman of the Madagali Council, Maina Ularamu, has publicly sounded a massive alarm, confirming that Kirchinga is rapidly fading into a total shadow of itself as the exodus continues unconditionally. He is actively pleading with higher federal authorities to intervene immediately before the entire district is permanently annexed by these heavily armed criminals. Curiously, the current chairman of the local government, Musa Shashi, has chosen to remain completely inaccessible, totally ignoring phone calls and text messages from the press during his people's absolute darkest hour. However, the sheer gravity of the situation has clearly reached the highest levels of the state government. Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, who is visibly shaken by the violent desecration of his own hometown, traveled down to the ruins to console the grieving families. He offered firm assurances that his administration is heavily engaging the federal government to formulate an aggressive, permanent counter-strategy to wipe out the threat. Validating this massive promise, the governor was very recently spotted at the Ministry of Defense in Abuja, signaling a desperate, high-level push for specialized military deployments to the Adamawa and Borno corridor. But as the political wheels turn slowly in the capital city, the displaced farmers shivering in overcrowded locations are left wondering if they will ever see their homes again. When an armed group can successfully attack citizens and steal hundreds of cattle from a sitting governor's backyard based on prior intelligence warnings, it forces us to ask very hard questions. Do you personally believe that our military is genuinely outgunned by these forest-dwelling elements? Or is there a deliberate sabotage of intelligence that constantly allows these deadly raids to happen? And regarding the chilling rumors of Bello Turji's tactics spreading to the northeast, what drastic, immediate measures must the Minister of Defense authorize today to prevent the region from falling back into the dark days of total insecurity? Please take a moment to share your unique perspective in the comment section below, as your unique voice is a highly necessary part of this crucial national conversation.